Like the video and subscribe to our channel right now and get 1 week of amazing luck. In the age of urbanization, when cities are growing by leaps and bounds, there are still places where you can see houses that stand out against the general architectural background. All the new infrastructure requires space, which means residents are being forced to move to make room for new projects. However, some people refuse to leave their homes because they felt the compensation they were offered was too low. From a lady who refused to take $1 million to the lady who fought against ex-American president, here are the people who refused to leave their home. Number 13. Nail houses. China is always undergoing large-scale growth, and for that reason, government typically buys people's homes and then demolishes them to build new ones, but some stubborn residents reject them. The homes that were left over are referred to as nail houses because the adjacent homes were all demolished as a result. That's because the houses look like nails sticking up out of the ground. The government tries to pay them well to relocate, but if they reject, the government engages in unethical behavior. They even dig moats around little residences and block water and power supplies to the homes. They do this in an effort to drive the residents out, but some of the more obstinate homeowners have steadfastly refused to go. Number 12. Luo Baogan. Chinese duck farmer Luo Baogan poured his entire life earnings into building his dream home. But after just 1 year, the government informed him that he had to leave since a major highway was going to be constructed right next to his residence. He invested over $120,000 in the home, but the Chinese government only offered him about $46,000. As a result, he refused to move, but the government built the road anyhow. Luo Baogan now resides in the middle of a highway after the government eventually offered him additional money, but he declined. Number 11. TAKAO SHITO. Since numerous farmers' properties surrounded the airport when it opened in 1978, Tokyo, Japan's Narita Airport generated a lot of controversy. Up until 2002, Nuri's airport had just one runway, but they eventually were able to grow because they over time bought all of the nearby farmers' land. TAKAO SHITO, a farmer, however, steadfastly resisted leaving. They offered him money, but he always declined. Although the TAKAO uses subterranean tunnels to access his farm, living and working on an airport runway must be incredibly noisy. Number 10. Wu family. The government sought to force the Wu family to sell their home in Chongqing, China, but they resisted because they had lived there for 3 generations. Developers dug a 30-foot deep ditch around the Wu family's home in an effort to evict them since a sizable shopping mall was planned for their property. But the rebellious family resisted leaving. Even hoisting a Chinese flag atop their residence Yongwu, the homeowner is a martial arts champion and even carved out a stairway to the house using nunchucks and threatened to use his nunchucks on anyone trying to evict his family, but eventually, the Wu family reached a settlement and moved out in 2007. Number 9. Half House. A development business began buying all of the homes on St. Patrick Street in Toronto, Canada, in 1957, but take a look at this half house. All the houses were being sold till they reached house 54.5. The house had previously been divided into 2 halves. However, the other half was refused, therefore developers meticulously demolished one half of the property. Since leaving this half house, the odd half house is still inhabited today and has gained some notoriety in Toronto. Number 8. George Salem's Bar. A development firm purchased the land surrounding the Thirsty Beaver Bar in North Carolina in 2015. They attempted to purchase the bar as well, but George Salem, the proprietor, resisted their efforts. The building business only had to construct around the Thirsty Beaver because it had been in George's family for many years and he wasn't willing to give it up that easily. Despite the odd appearance, the bar now has a large number of neighboring patrons. Number 7. Mary Cook. When things weren't as pricey, Mary Cook purchased a home in Manhattan, New York, but over time, her road rose to become one of the most expensive in the world. Developers intended to erect opulent apartment buildings on Mary's property, but she refused to move, despite the money they offered. As a result, developers squeezed Mary's home between two enormous apartment structures. It's stated that Mary's home is currently worth 8 figures. Number 6. Ring Road House. 3 family who were already residing there were meant to be moved out, but they refused. Therefore the large Ring Road highway had to just go around their homes. Their homes have a 360-degree view of traffic at all times thanks to the Ring Road. Number 5. Road Hut. 2015 saw the construction of a new road and apartments in Nanjing, China. They simply built the new road and development around Fiona's tiny cottage because she would not sell it for any money. To avoid it, cars must travel on the pavement. The little nail house is still standing there today. Number 4. Zheng Meiju. Zheng Meiju is the owner of this residence in Ruan, China. On her property, a commercial plaza was planned to be constructed in 2013. Zheng had barely lived in the house for a year when the government offered her money to leave, but she rejected it because she felt it was insufficient. The authorities cut off her electricity and water to force Zheng to leave, but she persisted until it became unsafe. Many people worried that Zheng's house might fall apart, but none of that convinced Zheng to leave, and the nail house is still standing today. Number 3. Edith Macefield House. For her small home, Edith Macefield declined $1 million in 2006. She had spent her entire life in the Seattle house, but a 5-story commercial building was slated to be built all around it. The business that was developing the new area was interested in buying Edith's home. The commercial development had to be erected around her house because no matter how much money they offered, she refused to go. Until her death in 2008, Edith lived in the house. In order to promote the film Up, Disney tethered balloons to the roof of Edith's home in 2009. It claimed that Edith's home served as the inspiration for the film. Edith's house is still standing in the same spot now, more than 10 years later. Number 2. Roadhouse. In Shanghai, China, a new road was about to be built in 2003. The government paid the people to leave and then demolished all of their homes, save for one man's residence called Mr. Xu. Mr. Xu didn't think the government was offering him enough money, so in response the government simply built the road around his house. Mr. Xu had to endure extremely noisy traffic, but he refused to sell, and he remained there until he died. Number 1. Vera Koking. This property in New Jersey was purchased by Vera Koking and her husband in 1961 with the intention of using it as a vacation home. However, a few years later, billionaire Bob Guccione planned to develop a hotel casino on their property. He repeatedly offered Vera Koking millions of dollars, but she refused, so Bob Guccione started constructing the hotel casino around her home. However, Bob Guccione ran out of money during construction, leaving unattractive scaffolding outside Vera Koking's home. That was before 1993. When Donald Trump tried to purchase the home, he planned to utilize the property to expand his nearby Trump Casino and create a limo parking lot, but again, Vera Koking refused. Vera Koking refused to leave the house despite efforts by Trump's legal team to do so. Instead, Vera Koking successfully sued Trump and the government. Up until 2010, Vera Koking remained a resident of the home.